So, I so to everybody, a short intro before we start. In the context of what we are going to discuss, like most of us, right? We start somewhere. So I also did not know cloud. I was in the IT. I played various roles. I've been a developer in the beginning. I worked as a project manager, program manager, engagement manager. Alhamdulillah, I've traveled to places. I worked in 6 different geographies. So, I mean, keeping yourself updated is one of the mandatory things, right? You can't just stick to one technology and live with it for your life. You have to keep learning. So I also started somewhere, but things worked out, and I thought if it has worked out for me, and there are many people who might be interested in this topic. So the intent of this particular discussion for the next, let's say, 40 minutes or so, we will discuss two things. One is what does it take? What does it mean rather? What does it mean to be a cloud architect? We all keep hearing this term cloud. Some of us are from non-IT. Some are in IT. Alhamdulillah. We may even know cloud.
Awesome, Guru.
Okay, I request everybody else on mute. If the moderator can put everybody else on mute. So what I was saying was, so one is what does it take to get into a role which I am doing today? I want to share that part. And the second part of it is what's in it for me. So people who are in the audience, if you're interested, then you might you might want to know what does it take for me to go there. You might be a student, you might be a college graduate, or already in IT, or maybe also in non-IT. Is there a good way that I can quickly try or plan for career with any of these major clouds? Yes, it's possible. So let's start. Some modus operandi how we want to operate for this particular session. I'll request if you have a question, you might just put it on chat, okay, so that I can go back and review what that question was. If it's a short one, yes, no, maybe just give me a shout. I'll just answer. But preferably, if you want a good dedicated answer, put it on chat, and we'll pick up the question at the end of the session.
Huh?
So let me just start. Right? So we'll, yeah, if the moderator can please help people put on mute. Okay. So basically, what is the role of a cloud solutions architect? We keep hearing cloud for even for non-IT people. Architect is a general term. We are familiar with how a building gets constructed, right? There's an architect who puts a design, then there are engineers who go put the bricks and cement, and the whole building comes up. So there's some planning that goes behind that. There's a design to the building. Something of that sort is what we do on the cloud as well. And more interesting part in the second part, what are some career options with AWS? Even though I mentioned that AWS, we'll try to keep it generic. There's something from Azure, GCP, and other clouds as well. Right. So let's see what's interesting that's come up. A bit of intro again. I work on multiple clouds. I've got an option to work on AWS, Azure, and GCP. Mostly on Azure, on AWS though. I am certified in all of these major clouds at a professional level. And there's also something on security that I specialize. Don't know when I was put on mute. So I was saying I am certified across these clouds, and security is one of the specialty areas that I have. Okay. And what you see here as Capgemini L2 certified is also a certification within Capgemini, my company. So that's a different challenge to get certified over there. They don't just check knowledge, they look at what do you deliver and how to deliver and all that. I have worked across some of the geographies for 1 year, 2 year assignments, and there are some learnings that I've gathered. And in my current role, I've delivered over a dozen architectures. Basically, they call it move to cloud, very popular term for people or companies who have their huge servers in their company. They pay a lot of money to maintain those servers, and they want to move to cloud because there are a lot of benefits, including cost. So we'll try to touch upon some of these benefits. These are some of the well-known clients, right? The name will, some of you may be familiar. And these are my LinkedIn and Medium sites. LinkedIn is where we can connect. Medium is where you can go through my articles. Let's hit upon this. What we want to cover today. What is cloud computing? Role of a solutions architect, cloud solutions architect. Again, I imagine, let's take a quick view, right? Please, can you put on chat, if you're a student, type S. Okay, if you're in IT, you can type I. If you're non-IT, you can write N. Okay, S student, IIT, N for non-IT. I just want to see how we should moderate this particular session. Okay, so let's just quickly see what we have. IT student, IT, quite some IT, some students. We'll just another 10 seconds to see IT. Great. Student not IT, fine. Okay, I kind of get the gist. Okay, some non-IT, a lot of people in IT, and quite a few students as well. That's fine. So we'll moderate accordingly. So let's see what really is this role of a cloud solutions architect. What do we do? Maybe it's interesting to you. At the end of it, you will get some clarity on what really we do, and you might want to visualize if it is interesting to you. One sample cloud architecture. Okay, we keep talking about this. What really do you do? Let's take an example. And by the way, this is a sanitized version of a real assignment which I've delivered to one of the energies client in Europe. There are many, but I took one simple example in the interest of time. And here's some of the interesting stuff, right? Popular job roles in the market. Can I plan a career with cloud? Or even if I'm in IT, how do I make some moves to get into cloud? So a few things that are going very well in the IT, right? There's cloud, there's AI ML, there's data analytics, there's some of these stuff that are going really well. One of them is cloud, okay? And some popular certification so that you can visualize, if I were to take up this as a career, how do I plan this path? We all like stories. So let's start with the short story. So birth of cloud as we know it. Okay, let me put it this way. We are all familiar with Amazon. Okay, it's an e-commerce giant. Even with due respect, even if it's a housewife, right? She'll just order on Amazon or shopping and all, right? So very familiar name, e-commerce giant. What happened was Amazon, they had a lot of infrastructure, huge servers, data centers, uh, some common term I'll keep using, very large servers. They found, I have invested so much in infrastructure to run my e-commerce. This much infrastructure is sufficient. I have extra. I have a lot of additional servers. How do I put to use, right? So they have this huge data centers across the world. They've invested a lot, and I'm talking of before 2005. Okay, so way back then they put all this money investment, and they had this service available. So thinking that's way more than what I need to run my e-commerce site. Okay, what do I do with this additional server? They said, let's have an idea. Let's do this. What is that idea? They managed to use a technology where a large server, very powerful, very large server, can be split into, sorry, I keep doing this, can be split into smaller virtual computers. Very large server, this can be you. There is a technology called hypervisor. You don't have to remember the name. Okay? This technology effectively converts a large server into small computers. Okay? Each of these computers can be used on its own. So imagine if I want a small computer, I can't go purchase such a large server, but I can either buy this computer, or even better, Amazon thought, let's rent it. Okay. If you want to build a small application, you need a computer, you need a database. So you can tell Amazon, I want a computer with a small configuration because I want to develop an application. I want a small database. And then when I'm done with it, I no longer want it. Okay, so Amazon said you will pay only for the time that you used it. What an interesting concept. Large server, split into smaller, put it on rent. If somebody wants it for 2 hours, 10 hours, you can use it, only pay for those number of hours. This concept work. That is the concept, or the context in what we are discussing. This is the concept of hiring or renting a computer, working on it. Once you're done with it, خلاص, let it go. You will say no longer want it. What's the bill? Only for these many hours. It worked out very well. Amazon, it worked out well. Then Microsoft, not wanting to be left out in any of these major races, Microsoft came up with Azure. Then GCP joined in. So these are three major players. Then after that, there are many other players. Okay, there's a short version of what we want to talk about later. Okay? Right. So quick intro to cloud computing. There's a lot, but I thought this much is sufficient for our context. Cloud computing is like renting a computer. Okay, something like For people who are not in IT, you can think of Uber or whatever. I don't want to purchase a car. I just want to make a commute, once in a week, whatever. I just rent it. I'll call Uber or Ola, and only for the time that I've used it, I'll pay. Right? I don't have to buy a car. So you don't have to buy a computer. You will just make a request saying, I want a computer of this particular configuration. I'll use it 2 days, 1 month, whatever. I'll pay for that particular time. So if you need a machine or database, you do not need to purchase it. That's expensive. That's what companies are doing. Now companies are not putting a lot of money in data centers. And you see this picture. You need a room, you need servers, you need cooling, electricity. There's so much into it. Rather, companies are using these public clouds. The data is secure. They have taken care of all of this. Otherwise, companies will not put their data on that, right? So you rent and pay only for the time you use it. Benefits, scalability. Scalability is suddenly I need more. Go ahead, ask for 10 computers. Then you will say, you know what, I don't need so much now. 5 is sufficient. Good, release the other 5. Okay. So scalability, elasticity, whatever you want to call it. Cost savings, obviously, you're not putting a lot of money upfront. You're only paying for what you use. Security, this is an interesting concept. Again, one of the, maybe we can plan some other session based on security. If it's not secure, you will not work with it, right? Flexibility, like we said, anytime you want, you can ask for it. Okay, at night 2 o'clock, I suddenly realize I want a computer. Yeah, you can get it. Imagine if you have to order a computer and it takes that much time to get delivered. A physical computer. Major cloud providers, there are many, but just to keep this discussion short, we picked up the 3 most popular: Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud. I can talk of any of these 3, but I just picked up one example so that we can talk over, visualize some resources in it and all that. But the topic itself is generic. You can associate wherever you come from. I'm more into Azure, fine. I'm a little more interested in Google because I like it, fine. Right, role of a solutions architect. What do we do? Let's take one example, right? A client says, I want a cloud solution. I have a data center, my application is running out there, very expensive. I keep hearing about cloud. Everybody's going to cloud. Let me also try it. Can you design a cloud solution for me? Yes. So he says, so what do we do to meet the requirements? Basically, a cloud solutions architect designs how an application or service should operate to meet business needs. As an example, a company runs a website, okay, e-commerce website or any other website that you use. That website is hosted on their data center. So all the cost associated with it, all the manpower that goes in it, all the software to keep it updated, secure, all of this the company has been doing on their physical data center. Now they say I want to move to cloud. When I say move to cloud, somebody else will take care of all this, right? I just will worry about my application, how it works, and meet my business needs. So security and performance. So if you build a solution, it better be secure. Otherwise, nobody's going to use it. Performance-wise, today we have websites working within few seconds. You get the response. Here you see if the data is stored in US, right? Data center or cloud hosted in US, and you're sitting in India. If you request for data, the time that we measure, the units that we measure, it's no longer in seconds. Okay, we don't say the data from US data center comes to me in India within 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Seconds is no longer the word, right? The metric now is microseconds, and the databases are tuned to give you performance with nanoseconds. Blink of an eye that's much time, and you're talking of data from US traveling to India and getting shown on your browser. These are amazing things. When you get more into cloud, when I started learning, I was like a child, impressed with all of this, right? Okay, so technical skills, what do you need? On the technical skills part, you better start with one cloud, okay? Then you can move on to other cloud. Basically, you need, as a cloud solutions expert, the client may like AWS or Azure or GCP based on various factors. They make a business decision. Okay? There are various things they consider. And if you say cloud solutions architect, you better be comfortable with more than one cloud. But for a start, as an advice to beginners into cloud, we say start with one cloud, get the expertise. Cloud-based security, networking, architecture patterns. That is another interesting topic I did one of the other days. What are the usual architecture patterns? And patterns are usually common problems that are available, that are encountered. There are some well-tried solutions. You don't have to again think and learn. There are some known solutions. So those are architecture patterns. DevOps, again, a word that we keep using. Basically, you're automating all of these. Today, the build is very fast. Okay, Netflix deploys hundreds of deployments in an hour, not even a day, in an hour. So those are some topics that the cloud solutions actor should be comfortable with. But more basic, some of the soft skills, the communication, verbal, written, listening, right? How you communicate, listen to the client, understand what he's saying, you communicate back to the client so that you have a conversation, you understand each other. Stakeholder management, everybody is interested in something. Okay, the management is interested in meeting certain targets, client is interested in making the application available on cloud within certain time. So all this time management, all of these soft skills come into play. That is anyway required for most roles, right? Unless there is a very specific role which we do not have to communicate a lot. That's very rare. But these are some generic skills, and more specific, some technical skills mentioned here. These are essentially required for any solutions architect, more so in cloud. So expectations, if you are a cloud solutions architect, what is the expectation? What is required? So I've taken one example. This is where we get a glimpse of what really we do in office when you do some work. So what really do we do? Let's take an example, migrate on-prem application to AWS. Some terms may be new for people who are not in IT or not too much in this context. When you say migrate, you're moving your application from a high cost data center that you're managing, a lot of cost in it, to cloud. We're expecting cost to go down, more secure and more high performant and all that. You're moving like a migration. On-premise, whatever is in the office, we'll simply equate this to office. Okay, on-premise office, AWS or Azure or GCP is cloud. So essentially we connect with stakeholders in the sense whoever knows about this, whoever has a say in it. So maybe we'll talk to the management, what's their objective, why do they want to move it, what are their criteria. For example, management may say my website is working okay, but I want the performance to be even better. Okay, today it responds in 2 seconds, I want it to go to half a second whenever it responds. So any such requirement, management may have their perspective. The technical people may have their own requirements. Today I'm hosting here. I want a low cost server to host on. So a lot of stakeholders we talk to. We typically use a questionnaire. Questionnaire is a set of questions. Tell me about this, tell me about this, and we gather the data. Okay? What is as a state? As it is working today. The application today is working this way. These are the major components that it interacts with. So we run interactive workshops. Okay, we call people across the table. Today we do it virtually. Okay, people connect, we share the screen, and we talk about it. So then we work on it, basically, think about it, work on it. Then we propose a target architecture. An architecture, you can imagine, later on we'll see, but something like it's a building, right? An architect says, if your requirement as a client is a 2-bedroom, house with a kitchen of this particular space, I need a balcony, I need, 2 washrooms. So all that goes as part of the requirements. Based on all of this, we say, here is an architecture. See if this meet all your requirements. Let's talk about it. Then we present the solution, the proposition, along with cost and expected timeline. Anybody will want to know when will the building it completed, when I will get it. So similarly, we talk about it in cloud. When do you think I'll get the application running? What is the cost involved? Then if everything is okay, they give a go ahead. Okay. Generally, the architect also owns the solution. So if I am the architect for this particular application, I don't just draw a diagram and move away. I am the person who's saying this architecture will work. Just taking a look at the time. So if I say this works, I better be with the team and make sure that it works. So they may need some guidance. I will jointly own delivery, okay, and drive innovation. So it's not just sufficient to say you have this, fine, I'll give you this. There are many innovative things we can do with the cloud. Basically, with any software, more so with cloud because of the flexibility and other features it brings. A lot of interesting stuff that the architect is able to bring. So when you say migrate, let's say this is one example. This is a typical questionnaire that we use. What is the type of application we try to gather that data? What are the key components? So the client keeps answering. Okay, we keep taking this data. How many users are using the system? Is the data encrypted? Again, security. When you have data, it better be secure. Okay, nobody should be able to hack and get into it. So there are multiple layers of security we talk about. Then the database, what kind of database do you use? So we keep asking these questions, right? And about 60 plus questions, right? So we adapt this questionnaire to various applications. Once we get the data, this is what it is today, and this is what you would like to have. This is how an as-is state gets captured. One simple example. When I say as-is, how it is working today before I move your application to the cloud. Maybe you have business users talking to your application. Okay. When I say GUI, it's basically graphical user interface. This is the website that you use. Maybe it has a backend. Maybe that talks to a database. Possibly some external system will be putting in some data, right? Some technical components. So we don't mention anything technology about technology and logical architecture. Logically, this is how the system is. There is a user. There is an external system. User uses the website, external system puts data. So we capture some logical way. Even if the stakeholder is not technology savvy or tech savvy, he'll understand. And this is how we represent the as is. This is a logical representation of the key components. It does not get into any technical details. So even higher management can understand, even if they are not into this technology. It's okay to indicate the purpose of the component. For example, we have an external system. It is basically to pass billing data. So they'll say, yeah, I understand, right, at this level. So technical architecture, again, as is how the technical components work today, we capture some data. So a user interacts the website, it is built on Java, it uses an Oracle database, a lot of technology terms coming in here. That is also important. Unless I know what is being used today, it is very difficult to plan and make a smooth transition to what I want in the target architecture. Both are important. It caters to different stakeholders. Again, it's a technical representation, captures the technical details. This is how we start our architecture work. So look at how the technical architecture may look. Okay. Again, I have picked up AWS as an example because I want to show some specific components. It is same with Azure, same with GCP, just the actual component name may change. Okay. So this boundary is the cloud. It says AWS cloud. Okay. Whatever we're going to discuss in terms of cloud, it will fall within this boundary. Right. Now, what you see as red boundary here is the account. Account in the sense, whatever I put as resources here, I have to pay for it. Okay. This is that boundary. If I use a resource, I pay to the cloud provider, AWS or your GCP. Let's see what resources we have put in here. Accordingly, there will be a cost that we pay monthly. So this green box is like an isolated network. When I say isolated, there's so much on the internet. If you put something on the website, it's prone to attack. Okay. So this green box is an isolated network. I can peacefully work on this network without worrying about external hackers or entities coming and attacking this. This is a very secure, isolated network. Okay. So what you see as two blue boxes here is like your closed rooms. Okay, in the house, you have your security taking care of the building, which is a green box. Within that building, you have your house locked in. So when we say private subnet, don't worry about the terms if you're not into this. But basically, it says this is a very secure rooms. If I put in some resources like database and data, I want it to be so secure that people can't just come in and just take data, right? Hackers and other users. So we now host our website in this secure area. When I say web app, I'm going to develop a website or migrate that website, put in here. How many layers of security you see here? One is we said this green box, which is an isolated network. Nobody can just access whatever resources are unless I allow it. Then we put a blue box, which is a room inside your house. Let's say you can lock it. Then you see an application, but again, the border is the red line. That is again a firewall. Basically saying when you put in a website, there are multiple layers of security, and this is not even half the story in security. Okay, there are many other facets, but just so that we understand in this context. Then there's a database, again very secure. Then you see this higher part, right? There's user here, how the user gets to log in. Okay, we don't have to get into all these details, but typically how this architecture looks is like this. A user logs in, and once the user is successfully logging, then allow him to access to this particular web application. That's how the user finally gets to use the application, which talks to the data. Then we spoke of an external application on the left. It has come up how the external application put data. Maybe they're not putting data in an encrypted manner, but With cloud, they say, can you also encrypt the data? We say, yes, we can. So these are ways in which the data will come into the system from the external system. It goes through some components, finally goes, sits in the database. Okay. On the left, there are some components will take care of security. Is it the application which we recognize, not some malicious user who's putting data? So all those can be taken care of by these components on the left. Then some of us may be familiar that if it's there's a database, I need a database administrator. Somebody has to take care of maintaining the database, running patches, all that, right? On the right side, you see DB admin. So how can you securely access database? Again, we put in some components. Only if you go through this way, at every place you will be checked. Do you have an ID? Do you have pass? Do you have a user? Are you an authorized user? At every place we check, finally we'll have access to the data. So essentially, we are saying one, we're making it very secure. Second, some of the components you see here are not very, very high cost. Okay, these are, I mean, you can decide how powerful your application should be. Your application can be a simple application, or no, there are thousands of concurrent users, can be very powerful. It's up to you. Okay, and you see some dotted lines here. Basically, it's saying when they are not in use, they can be brought down. Okay, there's a way that you don't always have to keep your services running. If it's a website, you put it public, yeah, you always need 24/7. But if it's a development environment, or if the business uses it only in certain hours, and it's meant to be used by the business, nobody else can log in, Monday to Friday, 9 to 6, that's what they prefer. So the other time, we can bring these resources down, save on the cost. Again, here we saw a website. It can be replaced by, some of us again may be familiar. I know there are microservices that people talk about. Instead of a simple website, you can talk of a more complex application with a microservices approach. People who are interested in this, we can have a separate dedicated session. But this is again a very popular technology in the market. If you're a good microservices developer, you're highly in demand. We'll talk about in subsequent slides. So even if you've got a gist of a little bit of what the architecture may look like, that is sufficient for us to go with the subsequent slides. What is of more interesting to us is, if this is the kind of work for an architect, if you think I'm comfortable talking to people, getting requirements, I can decide these components, I'm good at presenting a solution, then you can be a great solutions architect. Now comes this is the second part of what we want to discuss, right? Fine, the architect does the job, all this is fine. But again, what's in it for me? Can I get to know from where I am? Let me see what job roles are available. Can I target these roles, especially for students, college grads, and also people who are in non-IT? Can I get into some of these interesting roles? Yes, there is a demand for a lot of such roles, and we are not able to fill in a lot. Not because we don't have people, but the kind of skills that are required, we are not able to match, right? Yesterday, there was walking at Capgemini, more than 1,000 people walked in, okay? But only few get selected. Why? Not because the others are not good. They also good. They are also in technology. They also had some IT skills. But for certain job roles, certain prerequisites are required. We'll see what those are. So this part of the talk is about what are those job roles, what does it require to fill them in, and you can visualize from your position, does it sound interesting to you? Okay. We spoke of cloud solutions architect. So basically, you have to provide solutions that can be developed and run on cloud, right? You try to specialize on one cloud when you start. I also started with AWS. Then once I was comfortable, then I said, let me try learning, or adding one more cloud, one more cloud. It was good I did it, because later on there were projects where it was not just AWS. I had to understand Azure, I had to understand GCP. My current project, the role I'm playing today, is migration from GCP to AWS. I'm comfortable with both. So that stage will come. But for beginners, or when we start with cloud, we say start with one cloud. Okay. And once you get expertise, we'll see about other clouds. There's another term, okay, cloud application architect, slightly different, right? Now, application is what you develop, and developers write and create an application. So those developers need guidance. Okay, what is more secure approach? Don't store your passwords like this here. Use a secrets manager. So many best practices are there, right? So this application architect lives with the development team throughout the application development until go live, post go live. So day to day, they need guidance. Another term, cloud enterprise architect. Okay, so various flavors of solutions architect. Enterprise, like the word says, you're not just looking at one application. What I showed you as an example, one application, it's running on in the company premises, you want to move to cloud. Now we are talking of enterprise architect. Now, currently, I'm an enterprise architect within Capgemini. We call it L2. So when I deliver solutions, it's not just about one application. I take a look at what else is involved. For example, the assignment that I have today, right now, right, is about porting GCP to AWS. But when I took a look at the solution, I gave them a solution which connected some of the other aspects of the enterprise, gave them a better solution. It's not just about moving one application, it's about making the entire revamp of their approach so that the overall cost at the enterprise level goes down. Okay. Just one benefit so that you get an idea of what I'm saying. The current application or what we replaced, it was using 500 jobs and the cost was $40,000 per month. Okay. We revamped the entire approach at enterprise level and we reduced it to 50 jobs. 500 jobs to 50 jobs. Okay, sometime we may get a chance we can talk about that particular solution. Basically reducing the cost by 15,000 straight away. So at the enterprise level, the architect looks at a few other things at a high level and gives better solutions and suggestions. Something closer or in terms of the number of job roles, this is higher. Microservices developer, you can have experience with AWS or Azure or GCP. It doesn't really matter. If you're a good microservices developer, then there is a lot of demand. Okay, what does this person have to do? Focus on developing and deploying microservices. For people who are familiar, great. Who are not familiar, what we mean by this is, instead of developing one big application, I will develop in parts. Okay, instead of saying I want a computer and develop a computer, I will say let me develop a monitor first. Not first. Let me develop monitor separately, keyboard separately, motherboard separately. Then I'll put all these together. Okay, and maybe an external camera. If there is a problem with the external camera, I will not take the entire laptop. I will detach the camera, fix it or replace it, come and attach it. Okay. So if there's a problem with one part, you're able to detach that part, work on it, attach it back. That is at a very high level what this microservices approaches does. Okay. Otherwise, imagine everything is one problem, take the entire laptop to the shop and get it fixed. So this is working very well and there's a lot of demand. You may be expected to be familiar with Kubernetes, which is extremely popular. It's a very good choice today for microservices, but it's not the only choice. Okay, there are alternatives. There is simpler alternatives. Not every application is very complex for Kubernetes to use Kubernetes. Many simple applications use other alternatives. Right? Popular languages include Java, Python. In fact, Python is catching up very quickly. Another role, very popular, DevOps engineer or even DevOps architect. Okay, so what does this person have to do? DevOps, it is made of two words: development, operations, or support. Okay, for long, people have been developing separately. One team develops it, another team supports it. So support team says, whatever you develop, I'm finding very difficult to manage. I wish you had done it this way. So what they do today is they work together. Dev and ops work together. And while the features are getting developed or planned, the operations team says, I would also like to add this, add that. So that is easy for operations. That is the culture of DevOps. It's working very well. And in terms of automation itself, we talk of CI/CD, but that is a means of automating. DevOps is a higher thing in terms of culture. People who are interested, we can probably talk about it sometime. Again, another popular job role, IAC engineer. In terms of popularity, I would say microservice developer is one of the, in terms of number of job of demand, in my view, it's one of the highest today. Okay, we need lots of good developers. We need good DevOps engineers, and more particularly, a more focused technology in terms of IAC. IAC means infrastructure as code. So you don't always create resources by hand. By hand, since using your keyboard and mouse. Basically, we write scripts. Okay, run the script and resources gets created. Terraform and some other popular technologies exist. So these are some of the roles that are in high demand in the market. Okay. Let's see, if you were to plan a career. Sorry, the screen keeps coming over here. Okay. if you are to plan a career, we say either you can start off being a cloud engineer. It's a good start. Okay, you learn a lot of things. You suddenly can't say, I think architect is a very nice role. I don't have an IT background. Can I become a cloud solutions architect? Well, you can. It takes a path, right? Here's cloud solutions architect. You take this path. If you want to drive a
Naveed bhai is connecting back. Just a moment, please. He lost the connectivity. He's connecting back.
Sorry, I got disconnected. I'm back now. What was the last thing you heard, please?
You are on the path for
The
cloud.
path, right, right, right. One was there. Allow me to share screen now.
You can share, Naveed bhai.
Nice. Do you see a screen now?
It's visible.
Okay, great. Sorry about that minor thing. So we were saying if you want to plan a career with cloud, a good place to start is with a cloud engineer. One, the demand is high. Okay, we need lots of good cloud engineers. Second is it's easy to start. You don't have to know 1,000 things to become a engineer. Okay, again, imagine the architect versus engineer for a building, right? The architect may have to take care of 1,000 things, but for engineer, you give me the spec, you want me to do this, I'll do it. So we learn that way. Then we start learning more and read about it, prepare for the next level. And then maybe you can go to DevOps, maybe you can get into networking, whatever is one to your liking. Second, whatever your project opportunities offer. And we'll also talk about a situation where you don't have these opportunities, right? Then what can I do? We'll talk about the subsequent slide. But you have an opportunity, start this way, build your way up. And cloud architect is culmination of a lot of these things. You have to know a little bit of what all these people do, right? Okay. Right. So what are some of the popular certifications in cloud? There's another interesting thing because some of us struggle to get into interviews because one, either our resume is not getting shortlisted, or we get a feeling, am I not that experienced? Why are they not calling me? So one of the things that can help is if you're certified from 10 resumes, they will say, okay, these two are certified, let's at least shortlist them. So it's a good thing. to have some good certifications. You don't need 10, 20 certification. Okay. If you're a developer, do one certification, highlight it, create a big logo on your resume. If the need is for developer microservices, they'll say, fine, this guy is good to talk with. So aim for one good certification. I would say you see on the screen, there's AWS on top left, there's Azure on the left hand side, the GCP on the top right. In general, you see three categories of certification in cloud: foundational, associate, and professional level. Okay, goes without saying you don't have to straight away go professional. Um, Depending on where you are today, we advise either foundation or associate. Okay, what I mean by that is, if you are really new to IT, you're trying to test waters, does it really work for me and all that? Yeah, by all means, try out foundation, see how it works out. But for many people, again, depending on your use case, right? Pretty much at any point, there are multiple people whom we keep guiding. Okay, and almost all of them have turned out to be somebody who can start at the associate level. Okay, we assess where you are right now. It depends on case to case, right? So once you're comfortable at the associate level, you've worked on it for some time, then we propose, let's plan for your professional level. So between foundational associate, one of these you might want to start with. But these are three general categories, okay? Each of these popular clouds are offering different certifications for different roles. Okay, if you are a developer, you can see here AWS certified developer associate. Okay, if you are more into networking, that is interesting for you, and you know how to make things connect and work and all that. That's again a very specialized field. Okay, it's not undermined in cloud. It's extremely important. So there is separate SysOps administrator associate. Again, here you see a cloud solutions architect at the associate level. At this level, again, you have a professional here. At this level, there are certain things expected. But once you have gained experience, then you're challenged at the professional level there. It is the same for most of these clouds. I've not shown it here. I've also done Oracle, but it's pretty much the same. Okay. So in general, there are foundation, associate, and professional levels. You can target one cloud platform to gain expertise. As an example, if you say I'm interested in a developer role, yes, you can pick up microservices, you can pick up an associate developer certification. After that, don't jump onto other clouds or other certifications. Continue what you're doing. Chart a path. Okay. It's better to talk to, have somebody as mentor who can guide you. So in the shortest time, with the shortest path, you make the most of your time. Okay. Right. So let's see. Again, moving towards cloud engineer or cloud architect roles, basically any of these roles, right? So let's say you're a college grad or slash students here, right? You're getting ready to figure out what is the first job I'll get, and let me. You're basically worried about making a good start, or you're an IT professional, maybe into cloud. Maybe all these topics are really simple for you because you've been there. But if you're an IT professional but not in cloud, okay, maybe you're a project manager, maybe you're a developer but not on the cloud projects. Maybe you're into networking or even hardware. I know somebody was in hardware and now thinking, can I move to software? Well, yeah, anytime, yes. But there is a certain way you'll have to chart. You don't go the regular way because the regular way is college grads, join some company, do small projects, gain experience, move on to other companies. Here you'll have a slightly different way to do it. Or you are a non-IT professional. Yes, I'm working into some other field, but I think all this is sounding interesting. I just wonder if it will work out for me. Yes, okay, we can figure out. So some of the hard learned lessons, or some of the experience we have tried to put in this particular slide. I hope this one slide makes a lot of sense, and then there is not some, a lot as takeaway for you. Pick up free courses, okay, for the expertise you aim for. So this phrase is important. You basically plan. Without a proper plan, if you spend the time, you might later on realize you didn't make best use of the time. You wanted something else. So aim what you want, plan for it. In terms of the actual actions that you can take, pick up free courses. Okay, you don't have to always join an expensive course. We can advise on some free courses based on what you are interested in. There are lots of material, right? Take up appropriate market recognized certifications. A person can, certification itself is a journey. There's a lot of learning. There's, challenges on clearing the certification. Go for some good market recognized certifications. or figure out with your mentor or talk to people around. I'm interested in so and so role. What is a good certification? Okay, even one good certification can help. Like I said, in your CV, if you say I'm applying for this role and I have the certification, it's an added benefit. Versus I have 10 certifications, I don't have space to put in my resume, so I'm reducing the logos. I mean, so what are you really looking towards? So a job has certain JD and requirement. If you start showing up those, then it's likely that you get picked up for an interview, right? So start with one good one. Again, this one, subscribe or follow industry experts. Okay. There's LinkedIn, there's medium.com, there's so many other blogs. So see what's to your liking. LinkedIn seems to be a very standard networking site. Okay. And of late, we have seen a lot of jobs also being published. But essentially, it continues to be a very standard networking site for professionals, especially IT, but there are other focus groups also. Okay. Medium.com is where people write articles, blog. Okay. If you're interested in architecture decisions, for example, it's just interesting to me. Let me just figure out. So people write articles. I write a lot on architecture decisions, on career guidance, and these topics. So you can figure out if you search for my medium.com, Google will immediately show. So try to associate or try out. Right? It's not that you will suddenly go and find all the right sites. You can try and test what works for you. Okay. Again, hands-on experience. So there are people who are certified. Yeah, I'm talking from my experience, so it's my view. We take interviews, okay, and the person in the CV shows, as an example, right, AWS certified architect associate, or GCP certified professional, or an expert, Azure solutions expert. But when we talk to them, in minutes we're able to make out this person has just read about it, hasn't worked on it. Otherwise he'll talk of what he did, right? There are ways to quickly find out, and we help the person. We are not very hard judges. We in fact would like to make the person comfortable so that we can see what really is worked on. Maybe it's a great match, the guy hasn't started off explaining well, so we try to find out whether he has actually worked on something, is able to explain what he has worked on. Maybe he got a chance to work on only this. It doesn't mean he can't work on anything else. So those are all interview, panel related skills. What I'm trying to say here is it's important to have hands-on experience. You build and learn. Just don't learn the theory part of it, clear and certification, and start applying for jobs. There are people who will be able to clearly figure out. Okay, and it's better for you to build and learn. Stay within the free tier. For example, many clouds they offer up to certain number of resources. You are not charged. Okay, even I build, but I try to stay within the free tier, so I don't have to pay the cost, and still I can learn, or at least pay very very little. You don't have to pay high to build and learn. Showcase your work in blogs and interviews. Start writing. Reading is a great habit. Okay, it is like a mandatory thing. Also start writing. When you write about your work, one, you're comfortable writing. Second is your visibility increases, right? I'm at the last slide, by the way. I need a little bit time for you to ask questions. So this is the last slide. Point five says look for hackathons, internship, paid or free. There are opportunities. So one is I am not that good yet. Let me not go to the hackathon. Okay, I'm not good yet, so let me not participate in this competition. No, go ahead. You will still learn a lot. You will get a visibility of what the market likes, or what the hackathon takes. Maybe one or two hackathon later, you will get it to your, you will find it interesting. You will want to work towards it. So if there's an opportunity, go for it. But decide which path you want to take. Talk to mentors. Figure out what you want early. Right. Focus on quality networking. I may have 1,000 people in my network, but they are not related to my field. I just kept accepting and joining other people. But if you're in a certain space, there are certain people whose networking will make or add more value. Okay, and not to say that you should not be part of other networks, or people, but basically saying this is important. Pick up your quality networking. Try to see if good mentors, industry experts can be in your network. They will keep talking about something that will give you inputs. Okay. Lastly, keep an eye on the market demands. Again, an important takeaway. If you are trying for something, nothing stops you from figuring out. For example, I am looking for a role of microservices developer, or a IAC engineer. I'll go keep figuring it out. Weekly once I'll go check, search for the jobs, look at the JD. One JD will not give you the entire idea. Okay, sometimes JDs are not very accurate. So over a period of time, you will build a view of what demands are going on, how the trend is. If that is a role I am aiming for, what does it take? What are they asking for as mandatory skills? So it'll give you some idea. Okay, I will now stop here. We have taken 15 minutes. So now is the time for you to shoot questions. Let's see. Oh, sorry, just one more. Okay. I thought you might have this question, so I'll make it quick. I'm from non-IT background, non-cloud background. Can I aspire to become a cloud architect? Yes. Short answer is yes. Little longer answer. Motivation, dedicated effort, a good planning, because you're starting somewhere, you want to go somewhere as point B. So take some guidance from mentors, talk to people. One good example, my own team member in the previous company, he was working in a courier company, but he joined IT, he learned. At some point, he and me, along with one other developer, we worked on AWS microservices project. He was a key guy. He delivered this project. So amazing success story, but it's something with my team. Which cloud should I choose? It doesn't matter. Any of these popular clouds is fine. There's a lot of demand for all of these and some more. There's Oracle as well. There's this. I'm just taking these three as an example because they are popular. Which certificate should I target? It depends. Okay, where you are, what you want. So best to talk to somebody, or not just one somebody. Talk to a few people whom you can reach out to. How much does a cloud course cost in general? Again, do not pay very high. Make use of free material. Hands-on is a key. I'm making a bit quick because we want you to raise your questions. What are the criteria for getting a cloud-related job in any reputed company? Many companies may ask for graduation, some are specific about the degree. So there are some standards they seem to set. Okay. I may have a different view, but can't help it. That's how industry is going. Some companies have also started mandating that you should be having this training. For example, I heard some time back the discussion, even for placements, they have started telling the colleges, please train your people in these fields, AI, for example, before we take them and treat them as raw and start training from there. So the trend is likely to change. It's a must, whether a student, whatever stage, learning is a must. Especially if you're a student, you're looking for a placement, you're still expected to be trained on some of the areas. Okay, students can start learning cloud even if you're a student. Nothing stops you from learning, doing some projects, showcasing it. So all this helps. Right now, I will stop here and take some questions. Go on, please, shoot. Either you can ask for it, or just give a shout and talk about it, or I'll look at the chat and take some questions. If nobody's speaking right now, I'll start with if there is any question here, or I'll wait for you to give a shout. What is the path for microservices developer, career path on architect map? Okay, side, right? So career path for cloud architect map, we covered in one of the subsequent slides. Start somewhere, either a cloud engineer or a developer, because that will give you a smaller scope to work on. When I say smaller, it's relative, right? So there's a lot within that. So let's say you're a developer, you master microservices, your deployment, a bit of DevOps, a lot of good things going on here. By itself, it's a journey. 1 year, 2 year, you'll enjoy that work. Okay. At some point, you'll feel this I've done enough, and more interesting things are about architecture patterns and DevOps and all that. You can start specializing. What is the path? If my comment is not sufficient enough, you can always unmute yourself. Admin, please, if you can allow them to unmute. You can unmute yourself and ask for more comments. What is the path for microservice developer? Again, we need to know where you are. Okay, are you a student who is just starting with this option? Are you somebody who is a developer but not a microservice developer? What does it take to transition? That's a slightly shorter and different path. I'm already a developer but not microservice developer is one question. I need to make a start. Can I start with microservice developer is also another question. Okay, if you want to move from non-cloud to cloud, it's one journey. Look at what the cloud way of working is. Read about it, try out some sample or mini project for yourself, and then if you're lucky, you will actually get a project. If you are somebody who's like a student or non-IT and you want to get here, it's also a good start. Microservices or IAC or DevOps, these are good start for people who want to get into these roles. Demand is high. There are sometimes people who say, I need this JD with 10 different things. But when you actually go to the interview, the demand is so high. I just need to fill it because one, my billability is going for a toss. Plus, I think this guy has learnability. If I put him in the right team, yeah, things work out. Okay. Many times there are people who got through not because they have all the 10 things, but because the business decision is let's go with it. Let's approve this. Um, for data scientists, I'm not fully qualified over here. Like I said, there are 4 or 5 things in my view going very, very well. AI, ML, data scientist is one of the, I don't know, highly paid, most in demand, very much in demand. Very few roles that people are able to fill in, but the demand is very high. It's a specialized a field in itself. We should get somebody to talk about it. Okay, I'm not that very qualified, but I know it's one of the popular, job roles to fill in, and there's a path to it. You can't suddenly jump and say, "Today I'm data scientist." There's a path to it. Target to be consultant as service excellent in cloud network SME, currently into data center escalating. Sure. As an entrepreneur, I see. Interesting. Yes, yes. The cloud roles, additional cloud roles that you're looking at will make more sense. You're already into networking and security. That means you have a command over some of the aspects that are required for an enterprise architect. You can take a look at what additionally is required. We can connect if required, but that gap will tell you, if I just look into these and master this, then that additional job role gets open for me. Which are some of the main programming skills for engineer, cloud engineer, and cloud solutions architect role? We spoke a little bit about it. Solutions architect, we spoke at length. Okay, the soft skills, technical skills, and we saw an example. Cloud engineer, if you're so cloud engineer again branches out into what really you're talking about. DevOps engineer, IAC engineer, so there are separate ones, right? So the word cloud engineer, you have to look at the JD. What do they really mean? They will immediately put as top mandatory skills. Maybe they're talking of an IAC engineer, then they'll say Terraform and various other things, or they are talking of some of the other technologies, right? So you have to see what that JD is, what specifically they mean by cloud engineer. I've been working on React fine in thesis and want to add, yes, this is a good choice. Yeah, it's a good, start over here to move. In fact, one of my previous projects was a UI and, AWS as the middleware, which are good for developers. Okay, we saw there are 3 levels. So in the middle layer, there was associate level, right? So there is a developer targeted certification. Okay, APIs, secure APIs, build, host. How do you securely host API as well as call APIs and various other things. How to develop and deploy. A lot of this gets covered in that certification. It's a good certification, respected in the market. When I say respected, in my view is if you have foundational, I mean, it's just a start. It doesn't have much. So if you can afford to it, skip it. Okay, because market is not showing a lot of demand foundation. Associate still okay, right? Professional obviously is, let's talk to this guy because he says professional, he's showing experience. But at the associate level, it's a balance between the number of years of experience required, the kind of exposure required to clear certification, and there is decent demand for it, right? Pay scale, let me not come because if I put numbers, it'll stick to your mind, okay? In short, I'll say good, okay? It's a relative word, but I'll stop there. Sorry, I need to pick up where we left. Mechanical engineer not having any knowledge in cloud, 9 to 5 job. I understand. How much do I need to dedicate? You should talk to a mentor because even with this, right? Like I gave an example of a person working in courier office. Today he's a technical cloud architect, and he worked with me. Okay, I'm impressed. I was manager. I promoted him because I realized it, recognized it, and I made a recommendation. He's today a technical architect, and he and me worked on this project. We delivered, and just a 3 member team. It's not a huge team. 3 members worked and delivered a bit, but those are approaches we take with lean team. Anyway, so definitely feasible. Talk to us, not just me. I mean, anybody in your network, a good guy who's done it and very approachable. Take some time, talk to this person. One discussion may not help, it may not be sufficient rather. So talk, show that zeal, don't drop it. It's a good thing to consider cloud roles. What would be a suggestion of a person having 17 years experience developing? I'll tell you my own experience. I crossed 17 years before I moved to cloud, basically because the job and role that I was doing, I didn't find market demand for it. Okay, program management, engagement management, with none of these, no DevOps, no cloud, I struggled a lot. Okay, I realized I again have to upskill. It keeps happening. Okay, every few years I realize either we upskill ourselves or market forces us. So I picked up Scrum Master because that was available, but the project was on AWS. Even though Scrum Master doesn't have technical, I took that interest. I learned. I connected with the architect in the team. After Fajr, I used to learn. Late night, I used to. I had that madness, okay, because it was hurting. That market is not. I would attend interviews and get rejected because none of these, most wanted technologies were in my resume. So that was a hard learning. So one of the reasons is also to share all this. Okay, so definitely possible. We can connect to any of the people, even in your network, right? Can I start my career into DevOps or cloud? I'm college. Yes, you are in a very good early stage. Some of us have learned it the hard way. It's an early stage. Plan something, and make up your mind. DevOps interesting to you? Definitely very interesting area. Okay, believe me, I can give you one point. Person who has been working on DevOps for like 1 year, 1.5 years is supposed to have decent understanding of what DevOps means. But today, DevOps, if you talk about it or look at the JD, it says DevOps means CI/CD. No, CI/CD is just an automation. DevOps is a culture between developers and operations. So it's a sideline just to say this way higher. This is way higher than just some CI/CD or some specific technology. This is a very good field if you want to choose it. Plan for it. Okay, talk to people. But I can tell you this much: a lot of demand. Choose wisely. Okay, specific training for DevOps engineer. Yes, there are trainings. Again, don't go for high cost trainings. Depend on where you are. A little bit about if you want to put a little bit about where you are currently. It depends what path you take. Student has a certain path. IT, but not in cloud has a certain different path. So in general, if you ask, yes, there are trainings for DevOps. Start with free courses. Slowly you will explore and realize. Okay, it is a little longer journey. If you talk to some of the mentors, they may directly suggest you a course. Take this particular course is good for you given your situation, and that can help. Freshers apply for DevOps engineer. You can apply, yes, but we have our challenges. Okay, typically companies think or not think, they are constrained. Okay, let me be fair. They're constrained to pick up people who can start working from day one because the believability is there. The work has to be done. They have their you know constraints. Okay, let me just put it short that way. So we have to break this barrier. Okay, at some point they will need DevOps engineers. If you show the capability, if you show, for example, I have no project experience, I've never worked in a company, can I get a DevOps engineer role? Maybe. Why? One, I have mastered those concepts. Second, I have done a project. I put it on GitHub. If somebody says, "Have you delivered any project?" Yeah, it's on available on GitHub. I can demonstrate it. If you're virtually taking interview, quickly open GitHub and say, "I have done this." Or if you're attending in person, you will say, "I can explain this project I've done." You ask me your technical questions, I can answer it, and I've done a project. Okay, that done a project, demonstrating that project is very important. Not just for DevOps, for any of these of our people who are wanting to make a start. I've crossed the 3 o'clock. If the admin wants to wrap up stop, you can tell me. As long as you allow me, I'll keep going on with these questions. For a front-end web developer, full stack developer, does it require how much value does it add to cloud skills? You compare what the market shows as the range of salary for you, for your experience and what you're earning today. That's one way to measure. Second is full stack is good. Full stack seems to be used very freely today, but there are certain expectations. But you'll know better because you are working as a full stack developer and web developer. But I mean, it doesn't hurt to take a look at what the market is doing. Sometimes they mention the salary range. If you're applying for your number of years experience, it'll start showing up. Okay, so keep an eye on the market. But it's always good to add on something. If you're comfortable here, yeah, look at what else you can add with the cloud. But I would say yes, check out. Have you been working semiconductor software for 9 years? Can I switch? Short answer is yes. Have experience C++ Python. This helps, okay? But C++ is the number of job opportunities is very less. Python is very high, okay? But Python by itself will not, you will not survive. It will be Python plus maybe some requirement has a lot of Lambda today. Lambda cloud functions, they write today, most the popular choice is Python. A few others also exist, but this is catching up a lot. So you have one of the prerequisites, okay? But there are more to any one job role, okay? So either you can pick up one of the cloud platforms and say, I can write Python and I can create this particular or write or make this particular resource work, specialize in it. There's a lot of work, basically serverless, right? Lambda and Cloud Function and Azure functions. So they prefer Python. Add more to your profile, create some project. It doesn't cost a lot. It costs your time and effort and dedication. So create a project, demonstrate it. I'm currently working this tester, want to move. Yes, I would strongly recommend tester alone. Again, you've not mentioned what tester. I've even seen functional tester, manual tester with very little of additional learning like Selenium and all that. Those profiles I've seen. Again, stuck in the same company for years. So that person has to, not in your case, I'm saying, but this particular person has to take that effort, upgrade, show some projects he has done, or do some projects put on GitHub, continually, upgrade. Sometimes there are very nascent and new, tools that people ask for. We don't have people in those tools. So check out what works in your arena. Maybe there's an automation testing for a certain tool that's really in demand, but we are not filling in with the right people. So you will get a view when you look at the JDs and the demand for market. Spend the time. My 1 hour in the weekend is to check out what's happening in the market. Okay, anything that works for you. Want more to AWS? Why not? Some of the comments we have made on how you can move to AWS. What you need to pick up, how you need to build a small project under free tier, keep it ready so that if the demand is very high, you can show that it can work. Okay. Data scientist, excellent. 9 months experience startup. Currently laid off due to lack of projects. Understood. In this gap, I've started learning AWS Cloud Practitioner fundamentals. It's a good start. Can you please help me in AWS solution? Okay, we can plan. Okay, from here, from where we have started, it's a big jump. You have two things. One, you already have some experience as a data scientist. We need to check out whether somebody can mentor you here and see if that path makes sense. Meanwhile, as a plan B, you have done well by showing learnability, adaptability. You picked up a good platform, AWS. Don't spend for certification here. Okay, it costs. It costs, and today market is, and it doesn't have a lot of demand. If you say cloud practitioner certified, don't go with it. But it's a start. Okay, you need to know, get a taste of what it is. For a start, it's good. And depending on your when we talk to you, we will find out, right, whether you can directly go for associate level, or you need to clear this, learn something, then come over to associate level. But in the short span of few months, I would say target some associate level, get that level of understanding. Definitely build a project, put it somewhere as a website, as a GitHub project, whatever, so that you can show on the interview. Okay, but both options you can keep open, see what works for you. And if you're really clear about AWS route, yes, you can connect with me, connect with any of your people in the network. Cloud practice good for a start as beginners. The answer is yes or no. Yes, because it gives you, if you're really new, what is cloud, except for the ones on the sky, I don't know much about it. Yeah, just take that course. Okay, it gives you a taste of what it is. But the problem is really whatever is required for your job role, part of it is covered, but a lot of it is about so basic. I don't know if you'll even enjoy it. Okay. So, but when I started it, yes, I also took this route. Then I realized not worth the time. When I read about architect associate, a lot of it was automatically given as an understanding. But you and me are two different people. So you just give it a go and see if it's to your liking. If the course is not really interesting, you will try something else. Okay. But basically talk to people and see what can I do right now. My idea is I want to get into a good cloud role. Started as sales in advanced AWS agency, great. Done AWS practitioner, good. Want to transition to big consulting, why not? What role and which direction should I move? Let's see. This is okay. I mean, different backgrounds. We have seen success stories where people from far off direction have come and joined, even Amazon. Okay, there are success stories. There are big companies that people have joined. I gave you an example of my own team member from Korea company to a technical solution architect. I consider it as a big success story. So anybody can do it. This background tells us a little bit about yourself. Good choice, AWS, lot of job opportunities. I like this. Okay, you already have a view of how you envision where you want to end up with. A lot of consulting required. We do consulting for clients because they are trying to make a move to cloud, and they need consulting guidance, advisory. Plus, we do it for them. What role we have to talk? You mentioned currently currently working getting AWS associate, this is a good choice. Let me tell you some reasons why. If you start with AWS Associate Solutions Architect course, one, it gives you a lot of common services in AWS. Also, during the journey, you learn a lot of patterns. Okay, if you have to host an application, then there are certain services. You will build an understanding of the architecture. You will build a deeper understanding of how AWS has provided those services, why each of these services is or how it is used in certain use cases. So it's a very interesting course. I also started it when I started with my cloud journey. Before I knew anything about the cloud that we are talking about, I started with this. Okay, I came from IT background, but nothing related to cloud. I was Scrum Master, I was doing program management, estimation, all that, but nothing related to cloud. So I relate to what you are saying here. Good choice. Continue with this. It takes some time, have patience, but definitely a good choice. Okay. If your company can give you some coupons, those specifics you can always get. When somebody is planning and takes those steps, we can tell you a little more of what that step involves, right? For example, some companies give you vouchers. You're already working in here, right? 100% or 50%, all that. Specifics we can see if we connect. Want to connect one on your values, and it's all fine. Some of our time is available for our people. So I mean, others help me too. If everybody is just working and not helping, we'll not grow as a community. So yeah, we'll find time. Okay. If there are quite a few like-minded people, maybe we should have a little bit of dedicated group so that everybody benefits. You work as a group, strengthen one another. So it depends on how many people we have who are interested one on, right? CI/CD testing, CD also called a pipeline. Is this a question, or you'd like to just add value add here? I'm not sure. If I take it as a question, DevOps pipeline. So two quick comments, right? Sorry, I'm badly going crossing the time. Anytime the admin feels we should wrap up, just give me a shout. Okay. For now, I'll continue. So DevOps pipeline. DevOps is a culture. Development team sits here on the left, imagine ops team on the right. So that culture is DevOps. When you say pipeline, you are getting towards an automation part of it. Okay. Automation is development team wants to build something. Imagine a developer writing code. He will check in, then he will manually go and maybe build and then check in, and then somebody will test it, and then testing team will come after some time saying bugs, issues, we fix it. Whole set of things we have already moved on. Okay, what we do today is if the developer checks in code, automatically the code gets built, it gets a Docker image gets created, the code gets or the Docker gets deployed into a place. Before that, maybe some automated testing will happen. So within a matter of seconds, all of this is done, which traditionally teams have been taking days and weeks. Okay. So with just one check-in, an entire pipeline triggers one action after another, all automated testing, automated deployment, and the feature is available or deployed. So that automatic trigger one action triggering another action is a pipeline. And DevOps pipeline is basically when you write code, you deliver it or deploy it in a certain place. In short, that is what we mean by DevOps testing and DevOps pipeline. I don't know if that was the intent, but this is what I'm able to comment quickly. What are some of the key drivers for clients to deploy their apps on more than one cloud? Excellent question. Okay. This will take a little longer to explain. Even my client has moved from GCP to AWS. They have multiple clouds. Plus, I've worked on one particular use case where I've designed it for the same Docker to be deployed in multiple clouds. There are the reasons why. Some of the bigger enterprises, they don't want to get locked on with one cloud provider. That's a typical tactic they have. Okay, it's not even a strategy level today, it's considered a tactic. So second is let's say you have a Microsoft background or Microsoft setup ecosystem in your office. You incline to get into Azure, but more and more you're getting locked into one cloud. And today cloud is more or less interoperable. Okay. Today we may have a service in AWS, but it can talk to GCP and get the API can respond back. So it doesn't really matter. So business decision is more towards what is my ecosystem, practically more practically speaking, which particular agency has approached more and giving me more cost benefits and a lot of those decisions. So maybe I'm not sure I'll try both, or maybe I see benefit in storage over here versus API over here. So many different considerations. But the use case today, I would say relatively less. Okay, most of them go for one cloud, but we are seeing some trend in the way they're using multiple clouds also. In fact, sorry, one more comment here. In fact, one of my clients, very big enterprise, thousands of applications they moved. They in fact decided that 50% of their cloud or application should move to AWS, 50% to Azure. Very different decision that we saw. I went into Azure architect group, part of the associate architects went into the other cloud. Which one is more important certification to start a career in cloud? If I'm working as DevOps trainee, will it be best comparison to get certification? If I'm working as DevOps trainee, will it be best to compare to get certification? You want to start a career in cloud? If I'm a DevOps trainee, if you're already a DevOps trainee, then the answer is simple. Continue learning more of DevOps. Continue try to specialize here, not just in what your project gives you. In parallel, in your extra time, read about it. Like we said, connect on Medium and other blogs. A lot of experts keep talking about it. Over a period of time, you will start having that view, and the way you discuss and articulate will be different versus your team members who may just be working on it. So build that network, learn, talk to people, continue. This is a good start. And once you have sufficient or comfortable, if you're comfortable, then look at what else is involved in the project. Maybe somebody is working on the design aspect, somebody is working on the IAC thing. So whatever else is interesting to pick up. Sometimes like the word full stack gets used very freely, right? Even on cloud, sometimes look at people like, I know you're working on DevOps. Can you also do a bit of Terraform? Because I also have that. Otherwise, I have to get a guy for that just for a couple of months. So let's move on to share contact number. Why not? Shortest way right now I can tell you is LinkedIn is available. And if you want some of these specific guidance related, I write a lot on medium.com. If it's in Naveed Sait, medium.com, you'll find it. You can also connect there. I can get your comments as well. Again, LinkedIn again is a great way to connect. What are the specific limitations cloud architecture? It's a big question. This is interesting, but a big question. But let me see if I can answer in short. Specific limitations of cloud architecture and cloud-based enterprise applications. Based on my experience, my view, okay, not everything is just it's not heaven. Okay, it's not that once you move to cloud, all your problems are solved. Everybody is happy. Cloud is cost is very minimal. Nobody has any issues. That's like it can only happen in heaven. Okay, there's always something or the other that is lacking. Any decision has two parts to it. You get something, and a trade-off is you lose something, right? So if you say specific limitations, we can get into discussion, because over a period of time we have learned not every use case is good for cloud. Sometimes you say if this is use case. So there are actually 7 different strategies in cloud migration. One of them is retain, don't move to cloud based on your constraints, based on your business priorities and constraints. Retain, continue what you're doing, don't move to cloud. Believe it or not, that is one of the decisions we come up and tell the client. Okay. So to your context, yes, there are places where this may not be best suited for you. So please don't do it. Or there may be other things. Okay? It's a very big topic. Share LinkedIn ID. It is there in my, I don't mind typing it again. LinkedIn.com/ LinkedIn.com/link/Naveed Sait. And also if you want to follow, this is not able to send out. I don't know why. I'm not able to send it out. Okay. Quickly, let me move on. Share PPT. If I'm allowed to, I don't mind. There's nothing client specific or no personal information. I don't mind sharing. And if no problem. If I see it next time, I'll try to. I plan to take it for trainings. What I suggest here is, see, this has been very generic training, okay? But some of you may have some specific thing, right? So if you suggest certain topics, we can talk more about it. Our intent is, what is the shortest way that you can get started with this? In time, you will get comfortable and you will help others, right? MBA business analytics, nice. Internship, you have done fine. Look for 8 months, change the field or not. Decision is yours. I mean, the question is very heavy if you ask me. Decision is yours. We can tell you what is available. You see whether it's to your liking, whether when you try out a little bit on the free courses and the kind of jobs available and all, whether you kind of like it and you want to give it a go, then definitely you can make a start. Great, somebody in this. Yeah, thank you. Because the developer currently have very less Spring Boot work, but a lot more do it data related stuff. Don't undermine it. This is also good. There are data, believe it or not, there are data architects. Okay. So my role is leading towards data engineering. Great. Data engineering is at the associate level. Data architect is a professional level. Okay. Just a view to share how things work. This is a very good base to form. Like picking up data from QO, ingesting, this is the core of data engineering. Pick up source, the data from source, do something about it, move it forward. Ingesting into Databricks, you already have a good amount of exposure here. Processing data, displaying Power BI. Confuse my career. I mean, you already have something good. Build on it, work on it. Data engineering, lots of jobs available, but the specifics may change. Maybe the JD will say, we need a data engineer with, and then none of these will be mentioned. They'll really mention something else. On GCP, I need this specific ETL service to be used. You have not used it, but you'll go and say, you know what, I'm a data engineer. This is what, you don't go and say, I'm a data engineer working on Databricks, and they'll say, okay, that's not what you're looking for. Rather, you go and say, I'm a data engineer. Today, I worked on Databricks. I mean, I've experimented with something on Azure. You have in GCP. I mean, yesterday I was talking to a person. The way he gave his 3 minutes intro, okay, he was a co-panel. We were just spending some time. I said, let's talk about something interesting while we wait for our interviews. This co-panelist, very young chap, when he introduced himself, he took 3 minutes. And the way he said is, see, in your case, in your parlance, he may have said, see, I'm a data engineer. Today I worked on Databricks, but I've also explored GCP, this particular service. I don't mind taking a look at Azure. So basically, anything that comes my way, I can always, quickly adapt and deliver. I have not assessed him. I have not given him any test, but the impression itself was this is the kind of guy I want. Because even in my project, maybe or the pyramid or the business unit, maybe there's a requirement which is a little different. As long as you're a strong data engineer, you have this learnability. We need such guys. Okay, so the way you present will be slightly different, and the way you will, you also connect with like-minded people who are good with data engineering and data architect. Okay, this is good. Thank you. So I think we are done with the questions. It's been a longer session than what was originally planned. If you have any questions still, and if the admin permits, you can by all means ask. I'll wait until the admin permits this session.
Ask him to finish it. Ask him to have some selfish.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we will now wrap up. Just a couple of closing remarks. One is, this is generic session. Okay, I mean, there are a wide mix of people. Let me show this.
ये सब जने निकल को थर्ड क्लास हो जाता का भाई एक जने रह जाता वो ऐसा सेलिब्रेट तक करता प्लीज
Yeah, so saying other topics can be planned, but if there are no more questions, I think thank you for your time. It's been a long session. Thanks for the patience, and we hope we can connect. Sai bhai, I think I'm done.
बोलो थैंक यू everyone for joining